Hi, I'm Matt Granger, an international photographer and lifelong seafood fanatic. Join me as I eat my way around the globe, trying everything along the way. From fine dining to street food, from local favourites to gigantic platters, fish markets to five-star hotels. I try the classic staples and the exotic delicacies.
Is it a joke or?
All in search of the world's best seafood. In this episode, we're heading to Sheekey, an oyster bar and seafood joint in Soho's area of London. This is a really cool looking place that's got a great reputation. Nice old crab out the front to welcome you in. Taking a look, it looks like maybe it used to be really swanky and it's kind of past its day. Rumour has it Anna Wintour, the famous editor from Vogue, has her own private table here whenever she's in town. Taking a look inside, it's fairly old school, but the decorations are really nice. On one side is the restaurant, on the other is the oyster bar, which is more of a bar, but they do a lot of the foods at the table as well. Lots of pictures on the wall. I'm hoping that by smashing their massive platter, I'll get one up there as well. That's not what it is, they're actually celebrities. Taking a look, the menu's really quite expansive, lots of options there. I'm going for the Plateau de fruits de mer with lobster. You have to get it for two, but for some reason, I just don't get that full on seafood. So I reckon for two plus lobster, I can handle that. Well, I'm going to give it a red hot go anyway. To drink, we just went with table water and the 2013 Viognier. We went through several bottles. I probably polished off one over the course of this meal. Really interesting spread of cutlery. We got the Tabasco and everything there as well. Going in close, some of the best tools actually that I've used. That pair of scissors / cracker on the right is really effective. Even came with a little pin for getting the last bits of meat out of the legs that the normal scraper won't get to. One of the guests on the table had grilled sardines. They were really fantastic. Another had the calamari and chorizo. Here we are with the seafood gumbo, but that's all just preparations. Here we go with the first level of 2 of my seafood platter. Let's take a look around this bad boy. So, prawns, clams, crab, an entire crab, a variety of different kinds of snails from small to large, and we've got the usual kind of add-on things like whelks and those little prawns that I'm just not a fan of. They're kind of Dutch prawns. Up top, a selection of different oysters. They had 3 different oysters in at the time. Razor clam, lobster, and also scallops. It came with a trio of different sauces. And if you don't know me very well, that's my incredibly happy face. I don't have a sped up version of this one of me eating it all the way through, but let me just talk you through it. The scallops were perhaps the best scallops I've ever had. Rare to get completely raw scallops in a seafood platter. They were just kind of dressed. The lobster, it wasn't huge, but it was perfectly cooked. All of the oysters were really fresh, plump, and juicy. I have to say the quality of seafood in this platter was really first class. I've eaten in a lot of places around the world, and the standard can vary, but here everything was top notch. I'm not a huge fan of those tiny prawns that I mentioned and some of the smaller snails. We shared it around a little bit. I'm equal mix of proud and ashamed of myself that I really did demolish this. It was no problem finishing it off. I think if there were seafood food eating challenges, I could really go to town on it, because I then helped my friend finish off his entire fish that he had ordered, and then the trio of sorbets. So, if you're up for oysters and a crazy seafood platter, I definitely recommend this one. It's probably a decent size or a little small for 2, or for 1 if you're a big fat pig. What was the damage? Well, with the seafood platter coming in at £103, the bottle of wine at £35, and the dessert at around £7, this was definitely the most expensive meal I've had on this trip. It was absolutely delicious and I have no regrets, but you need to have a huge appetite and quite a budget for a meal like this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe to reserve your seat at the table for my upcoming adventures.